How are you guys doing? This is Alan Peters of the Peters Design Company. I'm here to tell you guys today about how we rebranded our city, the city of Eagan. It all starts back when I worked at Target and I rode the bus to and from work every day, and we had just moved out to the beautiful city of Eagan. Now, Eagan is one of the most beautiful cities in the entire country. It's gorgeous. We got Lebanon Hills here, one of the most beautiful parks in all of Minnesota. You can go there, you can ride bikes, you can explore nature, and you can just get away, which is something that's really nice this time. So what I want to tell you guys about is riding by this water tower. Now, this water tower did not always have this logo. Why, the logo before was a clip art tree, known fondly to the people who lived around here as the broccoli tree. Why was it called the broccoli tree? Just look at it. It had a white stem instead of a brown one at times, and the top of it didn't exactly look like leaves. It was clip art pretty much, and thrown together with a font that didn't match so much. On the original water towers, they were told by the state that they had to put Helvetica on there instead of their font because their font was too darn hard to read because it was so condensed, and honestly, it was pretty ugly too. Let's take a look at that one. See what I mean? Look how small the descenders and ascenders are. Look at the bottom, that G. It's so hard to read. But here's the key point, the thing to look at when you're looking at this logo. Not only is it clip art, not only is it hard to reproduce because of the amount of colors, but the key thing here is that you look at that typography and then you look back over at that icon and they don't match. They don't belong together. They look like they came from two different hands. And whenever I'm designing a logo, or whenever anybody really designs a logo, it's very important to make sure that both the type and the icon look consistent. That icon should look like it's a glyph in the font. They should belong together, and the symbolism should be identical, right? The line widths. You know, if you choose to round a corner or round corners, do it consistently, both in the font and the icon. You know, so that they don't look like they're two different siblings that are fighting right in front of your face. If you know what I'm saying? So, here's a shot of the two logos side by side. You can see kind of how much of an evolution we've changed. You know, we've taken it from these two things that don't match, a logo that's difficult to print, just something that's not functional, and something that's referred to by the community as the broccoli logo, and we've turned it into something that works great, reproduces well, fits in a circle, is simply iconic. You can squish that thing down to the size of a favicon and still have it be legible because of the simplicity. You can blow it up a little bit bigger, as you can see right here, and it's crystal clear still. So I'm going to take you through a few more of the iterations here. Oh, and of course I closed my iPad. So this project started with a tweet, of all things. I'm going to read the tweet to you. It says, it's from me, and my last video I was talking about doing passion projects. And so here again, I was looking for a passion project to do, something that I enjoyed doing, that I wouldn't mind doing for free just because I wanted a really good portfolio piece. And while I was thinking that, riding the bus, I looked up and I saw that logo, that clip art, ugly logo, and I thought, you know what, this is the perfect opportunity. I'm going to send them a tweet right now on the bus. And sure enough, I did. Back on March 12th, 2015, I said, "Hi, City of Eagan." You know, added them on Twitter like a darn troll. This is like ridiculous that this worked out. "Hi, at City of Eagan. I live an eye shot of your water tower, and I would love to redesign your logo for free. Here's a link to my work." And then I put, "Cool?" ? And then I thought about it afterwards. I was like, well, that sounds really cocky and like I'm a total prick. So backed it up with a second tweet. It says, "At City of Eagan, I love living in Eagan. I just moved here from South Minneapolis, and I just want to help." And that's the honest to God truth. You know, between these tweets, it's not like I'm saying, "Hey, Eagan, your logo's dumb. I hate it. You know, let me redo it because it's stupid." I'm saying, I'm trying to be respectful here. Hey, I live in iShot. I see this logo all the time. I think I could improve on it. I'm willing to do it for free. I just want to do it as a passion project. I live here. I love it here. And this city deserves better. It's beautiful here. And so, I'm just saying I want to help. I'm trying to be, as much as I can in my life and using my gifts, I'm trying to be hands and feet of God. I want to reach out. If I've got extra skills that I can use to help a foundation, to help somebody out, and I have extra time, I'm going to do that, because art is power. Design is power. It's more powerful than most things you can do. It's more effective than going and punching somebody in the face. You can make a much huger impact with a powerful image that stands the test of time, right? And so here we are. I'm being sweet. I'm trying to be as kind as possible. And sure enough, I hear back from the city of Eagan. It says, "Hi, Alan Peters, nice stuff." They give me the contact info, say, "Hey, let's get in touch." And I ended up meeting those guys downtown. We had lunch together, and I'm meeting with Tom Garrison and Crystal from City of Eagan, and they're like, "Listen, this is it's a lot bigger project than just a logo, and your work is very nice, and we appreciate that you want to do the logo for free, but this is a much larger project." And they laid it out for me. They're like, "Hey, this is a logo. This is like 6 to 8 sub logos. We're talking a giant brand book. How's this thing going to look on signs or a water tower or the side of vehicles?" And this project took about 1.5 years, and they're like, "Hey, we got a budget for it." And sure enough, it turned into a real deal project, and it was a great experience. Probably one of the best projects, if not the best project I've ever worked on. I mean, how many people out there get to rebrand their city? Man, it's a dream come true, a total passion project. So let's jump in here a second further. So you can see the two side by side. So let's get into the process itself. You're taking a look at this tree right here. This tree right here is an oak, and it's standing on its own. Why is that important? Is there anything good about the original logo? Anything worth keeping? Well, the city of Eagan started originally not because of this tree, but when it was originally founded, there was a city, or there was in the middle of the city, there was an oak standing right there, and it was a lone oak. And usually oaks grow in clusters because their root systems intertwine and create strength in numbers, right? If you have an oak on its own, especially in a big field, that can be a real problem, because it can get blown over by the wind until it gets large enough to sustain, really brace itself and have the weight. A lone oak is a powerful symbol. It represents strength, and it represents it's powerful because it represents independence and strength. Okay, because it can stand on its own. So this oak, people would, if there was a dance, if there was an event, if there was a parade, if there was something for sale, people would post stuff to it. It was kind of like the signpost in the middle of the city. Before they had the town hall and everything, this was kind of the center of the town, and then everything grew out from there, and it blossomed, and now we've got, I think 65,000 people or something like that in Eagan. It's something like that. And sure enough, they made their logo. The City of Eagan logo has always been an oak because of that, and that's a powerful thing, to have this symbolism and this deep-rooted meaning. You see what I did there? Deep-rooted meaning behind the mark. And so when looking at ideas and thoughts, I always start with a brand noun list. And so the brand noun list for Eagan goes something like this. So things based off the lone oak. It could be an oak leaf, an oak tree, an acorn. The city has an old school bell that they start all of their town hall meetings with, which is really cool. It's very an iconic shape, kind of like a little Liberty Bell. To represent people, you could have a hand or human silhouettes holding hands. You could have the letter E, both upper or lowercase. Nature or parks, representing those. You have rolling hills, water and lakes, generic leaf, feather. And then to represent momentum, you could have movement lines, having repetitive lines that show movement. You know what I'm saying? And so we start with a much, much longer noun list than that. That's about 15. And sometimes with my clients, we'll come up with a list of like 60 or 70. But the key thing is not having this long laundry list, because the last thing you want is all of a sudden I pick the 6 that I think are powerful, make a bunch of logos, and I come back and they're like, hey, I don't like any of those. And so that doesn't work. The most important part about making a brand noun list is narrowing down afterwards. And so we got to narrow down to this 15 that we felt super strong about. Strategically, they make sense. That way, all the marks, all the logos that they were getting were something that they felt really good about. And so after that, as you can see here, I go in there and I start my sketch process. I do 15 sketches. In this case, they're pencil sketches. Sometimes I do digital if they're more geometric. It really kind of depends. How can I get the idea across quickest so that the client will understand it? I never, ever send my client sketches without a phone call when I can talk through them. I think a good logo, when it's finished, should be able to stand on its own. Don't get me wrong. One of my old mentors, Luis Fitch, had said that a logo is like a fashion model. If a fashion model is walking down a runway, she shouldn't have to stop and explain her outfit. And so it should do the selling on its own. Now, that's a key thing. So if you see something like this, you can see right away, like, hey, this makes sense. This works. But when you're showing sketches, sometimes they need a little explanation. And so I always hop on the phone with my client, talk them through it. They pick these 3, which all work very well. And then I take those 3 approved sketches and I make digitals. And these are the 3 that we move forward with. Once we presented digitals, then we go into the revision phase. And you can see here's the original, 1 round of revisions, and then on the 2nd round of revision. And you can see the changes there. It starts on the bottom, on the original. You can see there's many lines at the bottom of the mark. We did a few focus groups, found out that those were a little dominating and distracting. The typography was a little bit busy and complex. And so I went in there, I made sure that typography was crystal clear, nice and thick. I have some sharp corners, some rounded corners. As you can see, when you look at that typography, you look up there, that G is landing dead center, because this is basically a symmetrical form here. Originally, if you just type this out of the can here, that E is going to be thinner and the N is going to be wider. But I made them the same width, and then I took both A's and I curved alternate corners on the inside there to balance them off, so that G could land dead center, so it'd be directly below the icon itself and create a nice vertical balance, right? Makes sense, right? And so, and then the way I fixed the busyness of the bottom was I just cropped in tighter on the tree. Honestly, it makes it a lot better, it makes it taller. A lot of people complain like, oh, don't do focus groups. Don't show a bunch of people your logo. Don't show your wife. They hear all sorts of random things that agencies will say just to try and get approval. I'm telling you right now, there's nothing wrong with reaching out and talking to people and hearing other opinions. Because you know what? You can take, as a designer, you take what's working and you apply it. And a lot of the time, it's going to make the logo better. Look how much better that mark looks right now with fewer lines at the bottom. And that's feedback that I got from, people that weren't designers. That was just like, everyday people that worked at the city of Eagan, or we pulled some different demographics from the public from different parts of Eagan. And look how much that helped. It makes the tree look taller. It's more balanced. It's a simpler mark. I think it works really great. And so this is the final icon. Some of the ideas behind it. There's a diversity to all these leaves, the different angles. The city of Eagan has tons of cul-de-sacs and winding roads. It's not a big grid like Minneapolis or St. Paul. It's more organic, and it shares that with the tree. And so the branches, if you see that the way that they branch up and wind, it reminds me of the streets in the city of Eagan. Eagan is right above the river bluffs. You work your way up, and so having a hill in there is a nice thing. It's sitting at the top of a hill. It's just such a beautiful thing. Our house is actually, we sit right at the top of a hill with a nice view. It's gorgeous, overlooking a park. Other things, the movement lines we talked about earlier, or you could talk about technology, something emanating, or growth. You can see all those things in this mark. And then here, I'm showing you how it works as a brand system. So not just a horizontal logo, not just a badge, not just a vertical, but all these different versions, icons when you need it. Even you can look at the example right there of the vertical ones where it has like one that has the established date, or else you can switch it out for like Parks and Rec and all the different subdivisions. Now, one of the things I really wanted to design, I was like, I will seriously design this for free. I know I did it. I was paid for the other stuff. Let me design. It was two things. The Welcome to Eagan sign. I want to design that. I want it to look beautiful. And you can see it side by side with these other ones. Look how bad that Tree City USA. Whoever designed that, I'm sorry. I don't like it. It's not good. But look how much cleaner and more beautiful it works. It's balanced. And boy, it's a pretty sign. And then in a same similar fashion, I also did these Adopt the Street signs. These Adopt the Street signs are on almost every single block in all of Eagan. You see them more consistently than anything in this city. They are everywhere in terms of like overall Eagan branding. So like I didn't want them to look bad. Like these have to look right. This is, if somebody sees the logo all shrunk down in the corner and some centered out of the can type with bad kerning, man, I couldn't handle that. I'm a designer, man. It's got to look good, right? So I was like, please let me design the Adopt the Street signs. So I did. Here's an awesome way it was put together. They asked me to design a sign for the front of the city hall and police department, and we made it out of die-cut metal. It's backlit at night, and it's just beautiful. I love this shot of the sun shining through it. That depth that it creates is just so pretty, and it's just nice to see that type nice and big, super legible. And then this is kind of a silly one, but a really cool execution. One of the things that came up when we were designing the logo is that it had to work in stamped concrete, because they have stamped concrete garbage cans in a lot of the parks. And so here we go at Alan Peters. Does that figure out something that's going to work in stamped concrete? So this has to work one color. And here we go. Here's the actual final stamped concrete version in a garbage can. Got that garbage can design in my big portfolio. Best piece ever. But honestly, it does look pretty cool stamped in concrete. Talk about standing the test of time, right? That thing's going to be around for a long time, even if they rebrand. And then how is it going to look on the city vehicles? So here's a tricky one. Originally I was like, I think all the city vehicles should be repainted. It's green. And they're like, that ain't going to happen, dude. They're like, listen, we got every color of vehicle. Most of them are yellow. I think we have like one or two green ones. We have some white ones. We have red. We have navy blue. We have basically everything. There's like these like really like any color you can imagine the vehicle comes in, they've got it, and they need to be able to stamp a logo on the outside. And some of them are light colored. So like if you did a white logo on some of them, you might have to do a black logo on others, like if it's on yellow versus if you're putting it on green. And so the solution we came up with is this. Take the badge one, put it in a circle, and and it works nice and crisp and easy. You can just stamp it on the outside of any city vehicle, everything from like a pickup here to, I don't know what kind of city vehicle this is. Look at this thing. It looks like it's going to transform into like the leader of the Decepticons or something. It's pretty awesome. I would probably say that has something to do with cleaning out sewers, maybe? I don't know. I don't know. All I know is I saw it once on the street and I was like, oh my God, I wish I could take a picture of that. It has the City of Eagan logo on it. And then, sure enough, one day I see it in my neighborhood. And not only do I see it in my neighborhood, it's like dappled sun coming down on it through the trees. It's sitting in front of a grassy background. There's nobody around. I think the people were inside or something like that. And I was able to take some shots that it looks like an art directed it. And like, it was like, okay, can you park here, like right underneath this tree and make it look just like this? But I love the way that shot turned out. That's my favorite vehicle in all of Eagan. I'm going to get one of those if I ever get rich. I'm telling you. I'm just going to drive it around. So, of course, the business system, you can see some nice details there. Just like in the typography where we have some sharp corners, some rounded corners. Did the same things to the edges of the business cards and the letterhead and the thank you notes. Just a simple way for not a lot of money to add some originality and some uniqueness to this branding. And then, here, check these out. What branding project these days are you going to do that doesn't have enamel pins? Seriously, it's like the thing. So anyways, all these guys were like, hey, when we get this new logo done, I need some tie pins. I was like, really? I was like I want to do enamel pins. Absolutely. And so they made these up. I like the way they turned out. And then, of course, the water towers. There's 7 water towers in the city of Eagan, and 4 of them have branding on them. So you can see a couple of them here. Whether it's on a freeway, next to a park. This one's next to a skate park. This one is pretty cool. This is out on the northeast side of the town. Has these big fins on it. Reminds me of like a 1950s Cadillac or something like that. The Cadillac of water towers. And then taking that, like I said earlier when I originally talked to them, we wanted to, they needed to make a consistency throughout all the brands. So you can see right here, we have the Eagan Market Fest logo, so like their farmers market, Eagan Art House logo. So there's an art house where, like, my kids take classes there. It's really cool. The community center, which needs to encompass a lot of things. I mean, you can go there and do yoga. They have a indoor park. People go there and do weddings and stuff like that. They have beautiful fountains outside. It's like a whole mix of things. There's a gym there, but when it comes down to it, it's about the people. So you can see these people linking hands and creating these leaves right out of the main logo. You can see the leaves in there. And then the Eagan Civic Arena, which is an ice rink, and they also do some other events there as well. And then the ETV logo, so they have their own TV station, of course, and so I got to do a TV station logo. And this is a cool one. The police department. Originally, I pitched some ideas to do the police department and the fire department. Never thought I'd hear back from them. They're like, don't expect to hear back from them. But sure enough, I pitched some rough ideas. Nothing. This is like kind of more the final. It's much more complicated. And they said, hey, listen, here's what our badge looks like. Can you take that and update it to match the current branding, the new logo? And so you can see there, the new logo there on the right, how it all comes together. You have a consistent line weight. You have the same leaves from the logo wrapping around the outside. You can see how the words integrate. And if you jump to the next page, here, jump into the next slide here. 4th of July a couple years ago, and this is, like I told you, we started this conversation in 2015. It's 2020 right now. So back in 2 years ago, it had been 2018, 4th of July. Going to see the fireworks, City of Eagan, and walk past the first police cruiser that I had seen with the new logo. And again, this awesome police officer happened to be parked on the sidewalk because he was monitoring all the people coming by. and making sure that, seeing if anybody needed help and doing his job. And here's this beautiful police cruiser with that new logo on it, sitting underneath a beautiful tree with dappled sun coming down on it, right at near dusk when it's the that twilight hour, and got this perfect photo of this logo. It couldn't have been a more perfect situation. Most of the times it's going to be parked in a parking lot, or you're going to see it under poor lighting indoors at like in a lot, like for the police lot. But here we are out in nature, perfect lighting. I couldn't have planned it better. And then here we go. You can see how it integrated for the Eagan Fire Department. From their flag to the sides of all their trucks, to on the left there, that's embroidered into the seats of the trucks. And it's so cool to see this mark, and to see the legs it has, and how it can work in so many iterations and situations. And this last one I'm going to show you is one of my favorites. So when they revealed the new logo, I went there. It was the mayor and the city council, everybody who had worked on the team, and I brought my kids and everything, and I was pretty excited. And so they announced it. They filmed the whole thing, and right when they announced it, they set it up so this giant green cloth with the new logo on it would unroll right down the side of the building and make this like big dramatic impact, right? And so I was pretty excited for that. And then afterwards, my kids were so pumped. They're like, "Dad, it's your logo!" It's so cool. And so, sure enough, I took a photo of them and posted on Instagram of them pointing at it. And my client's like, "Hey, can you send that over?" They didn't tell me why or anything. They're like, "Hey, can you send that? That's a perfect shot." And I'd been working on a new newsletter for them, and I get the first newsletter in the mail, and look at this, man. Look at that, right on the cover of it. That's my boys. That's the shot I took on the cover of the brand new newsletter that was sent to everybody in the city of Eagan. All my neighbors were like, "Hey," they're like running up to my kids. They're like, "We saw you in the paper." It was so cool. And my boys just love it. My little guy, the one who's not on there, Josh, every time we drive by the water tower, he's like, "Eagan logo water tower." He just gets pumped, and he reaches up from his car seat to give Daddy a fist bump. It's so dumb, but so cool at the same time. Yeah, this was absolutely a dream project, and I'm so thankful to Tom and Crystal and the whole team at the city of Eagan, the mayor, everybody who I worked with on the council. You guys, I can't thank you enough. This is probably my favorite project I've worked on in my entire career, and it brings me so much joy. And yeah, I don't know if there'll ever be anything that I'm more proud of. So thank you guys. See you on the next video.